Hello and welcome to Study IQ. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 11th November. It's Sunday today. I'm sure you all are enjoying your Sunday. Let's start our day with a quote from Carol Burnett. Only I can change my life. No one can do it for me. That means I am the main person who is in charge of my life, isn't it? And that also means that if you are in charge, if you are the captain of the ship, and if you think that things are not going as per your wishes or as per your vision, then it is up to you. You have to take charge, and you are the only one who can work as a change agent in your life. I hope things are a bit clear to you. Now, dear friends, if you go through the list of pen drive courses, you will also find UPSC optional courses available on our portal, that is studyiq.com. We have got geography, psychology, sociology, philosophy, and public administration in our arsenal of pen drive and tablet courses. To find out more about it, do check out studyiq.com. Now, on your screen, you have 17 sustainable development goals. This picture here, or this is a logo of United Nations. So that means that this 17 sustainable development goals are decided by UN. Now, very quickly, I'm going to read it out for you guys. No poverty is the first one. Second is zero hunger, good health and well-being. The third, fourth is quality education. Fifth, gender equality. Sixth is clean water and sanitation. Seven is affordable and clean energy. Number 8, decent work and economic growth. Number 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure. Number 10, reduced inequalities. 11 is sustainable cities and communities. 12, responsible consumption and production. 13, climate action. 14, life below water. 15, life on land. 16, peace, justice and strong institutions. And 17 is partnerships for the goals. Now, before this SDGs, now let me give you some basic details about this SDGs. They were introduced, or the work period of SDGs is from 2015 to 2030. Before SDGs, we used to have MDGs, that is Millennium Development Goals. And most of the countries were okay with this MDGs, or they have achieved some sort of results under this MDGs. And countries like India were not that good, but we have achieved. In some areas we were good, in some areas we were very bad. So it was a sort of mixed story. Generally speaking, big picture, not that successful, I would say. And this is one of the main reasons why United Nations decided that we need to have some new, fresh set of goals, and we have to achieve these goals in a short period of time to transform our world. This is the statement here: 17 goals to transform our world. Now, the problem is that it's not just this 17 goals. Under this 17 goals, you have this various different branches. So in total, you have what? 169 targets. 169 targets under 17 goals. Now, this itself indicates that we are trying to achieve so many things in one time, or we are trying to kill more than two birds using just one stone. So this is something that is difficult, and many times it looks like it is impossible as well. The reason why I'm saying that it is impossible is because very recently, if we go through some figures of extreme poverty or hunger around the world, then we find that number of extremely poor people in the world, as well as hunger, is increasing in various different pockets of our world. I'll give you small examples. One example is areas where we find conflicts are going on. So you have countries like Yemen, you have Iraq, we have Syria. In our country, India, if we talk about, then we have areas where you find Red Corridor. So Red Corridor area is not doing that well at all. And there are other pockets as well. So either because of regional conflicts, or the second culprit is climate change. These are the two things because of which we are finding extreme poverty is growing, as well as hunger is also increasing, which is a matter of concern for the whole world. Now, there are only two countries at present. We have our country, India, and Germany. These are the only two countries that have made even a partial assessment of how much investment is required for 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The agenda is woefully underfunded. One estimate shows $2.5 trillion more needed each year, right? Each year to achieve this sustainable development goals. Even if we spent all of the world's development funding, it would only get us 5% of the way. So why this sort of things are taking place? The thing is, right, of course, when you're trying to achieve so many things in one shot or in no time, then we will end up with nothing at all in our hand. And something is visible here, something, a lack of focus is something that is, it is there, or it's the biggest hurdle is lack of focus, because we have 17 big goals. And if you go through these goals here, you find that we are trying to transform, we are trying to change everything in one shot, and this is something that is practically not possible. One of the reasons why we got a little bit of success with MDGs, that is Millennium Development Goals, is because it was a bit focused compared to too wide range of SDGs. Now, one more thing, as I told you, right, from 2015 to 30, we are supposed to achieve this Sustainable Development Goals, and at present we are about to we are on this verge of end of 2018. So can we say this thing that nearly 20% of time, right, from 2015 to 2030, we are talking about 15 years. And here we have completed 3 years of SDG period. So 20%, right, 20% of time is over now. And what we are finding here is this sort of things are taking place. So clearly, if we want to achieve this SDGs, then first of all, what we need to do is we need to prepare a list of items that are absolutely necessary, right? Now, many countries, or there are many institutions out there, they are working on climate action. I'm not saying that we need to stop working on climate action. Yes, it is important. But giving too much of weight to climate action at present, right, is not going to help us to. I'm specifically talking about this SDGs here. So if we want to achieve SDGs, right, if we are working on all those things that will deliver results after 5 years or 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, they are going to deliver results if we are working on, say, for example, climate action. No doubt. But if we want to change, say, for example, if we want to get rid of poverty, if we want to get good health and well-being for people, if we want to get rid of this, if we want to achieve zero hunger, good quality gender equality, clean water and sanitation and all these things, then for that we have to set our priorities, right? We have to prepare a list that will have all those items, right? Priority items that will have positive ripple effect on other items as well. Like, I'll give you one example of this agricultural R&D, that is research and development. Investing an extra $8 billion annually in agricultural R&D would increase yields globally and generate more food at lower cost. This will help us fight malnutrition. It will help us fight this hunger. And once these two things are achieved, then we will have at least the basic things about our human capital. We can assure their good health. And once they are healthy, then the productivity will go up. And it is also said that if we invest $1 after this agricultural R&D, the benefits, social benefits that we get is equivalent to $35. So you can imagine the ripple effect, the positive ripple effect of this agricultural R&D. So we need to identify this sort of things, and then we need to pay dedicated focus on this thing. We need to work on these things, and I'm sure once we start working on once we prepare this top hit list, and once we start working on it, then it will show its positive impact on other items as well, and it will become a bit easier for us to achieve other things, or all those items that are part of this 17 SDGs. Now, because of UN didn't prioritize, there was no priority given by United Nations to this SDGs. So what is happening at present is that various different countries are, one country will work on this item number one country is working on item SDG number 2, one is working on SDG number 3 as per their capacity as per their requirement. And what is happening is they are expecting, these countries are thinking that by working on this thing they will reach at one particular point, but that's not going to happen. So what we need to do is United Nations needs to set this agenda, this top priority areas, because at present it is also observed that some countries out there, or most of the countries out there I would say, they are paying extra attention to only that item that is more media friendly, that will create a positive image of that particular country's government in the eyes of the people of that, or citizens of that country. So this is something that is this sort of political brownie points are not going to help us at all. So this was our small special topic of the day. I believe I have added things, a little bit of add on. It was more about add on rather than starting from scratch. Now, moving on to news items. Now, the biggest challenge that I faced today was not to go through news. Of course, it's never that difficult to go through news items, but the most important thing is to identify what is right and what is important for your examination. Now, if you go through today's The Hindu newspaper, then sadly we don't find that many news items that are important for your examination. So, of course, I have to go through other newspapers as well. So, this was going through other newspaper was the biggest challenge. It's about time, it's about energy and other things. Anyways, so I have some add-on news items from the Indian Express as well for you guys, and I'm sure once we'll go through it, you will appreciate that that we have covered some extra items from other newspaper here in today's analysis. So ISRO invites foreign riders to Venus, and ISRO is going to, it's preparing itself for this mid-2013 mission Venus, and for this it has invited space agencies, universities and researchers. The Indian Space Research Organization, that is ISRO, plans to study the planet from an elliptical orbit. Elliptical is something like this sort of shape, right? It's not perfect elliptical, but it's not a proper circle. It's more about, it's something like this, right? I hope you know what I mean. Let me try one more time, and it's going to be like our eye, it's just like an eye, similar to eye. So that's what elliptical orbit is all about. Now we have so far, right, done 2 interplanetary voyage. The first one was this Chandrayaan-1, the second one was this MOM, and Venus is going to be the third one. Now, a lunar lander and rover mission called Chandrayaan-2 is also, getting ready for a takeoff in January or February 2019. National body set up to study a rare form of diabetes. So we have a new National Monogenic Diabetes Study Group, and it's going to identify the main reason behind this monogenic diabetes across the country. Monogenic diabetes is a group of disorders where mutation of a single gene causes diabetes. Demonetization. This is the news item that I was talking about from Indian Express. Right, former Reserve Bank of India's governor Raghuram Rajan was present in this University of California, Berkeley, and he was addressing people over there, and he talked about these 2 big shocks. The first one was demonetization, and the second one was GST. He said that these 2 shocks took place in our economy, Indian economy, at that point of time when the global economy was picking up, when the global economy was coming out of this slowdown. That was the time when we should have made the most out of this tailwind that we were getting, but instead of that we created these 2 headwinds for us, and this is one of the reasons why there was a slowdown. Now Mr. Rajan also said that growth rate of 7% is not good enough at all to meet our country's need. Like, one of the need of India is to create 10 we have not 10, but we need to create some 1 million. So we are talking about 10 lakh new jobs. 10 lakh new jobs per month. Right? We need 10 lakh new jobs per month in our country, and to create this 10 lakh per month jobs, we need at least a double-digit growth rate. 7% is not enough, and this is one of the reasons why so many youngsters out there, they are struggling to find a decent job. They can find a job, but that's more like an underemployment, to be honest, rather than getting what they should deserve. So for that, we have to make necessary changes, and we need to clock double-digit growth. That's what Raghuram Rajan has said. He talked about non-performing assets too. Now, a couple of days ago, I have explained you guys what non-performing assets is all about. So I'm not going into the details of NPA here, but very quickly, I'm sure you will understand if you have gone through that lecture. We talked about this. I told you about this book. Remember? Balance sheet. You have assets and liabilities here. So when your assets are dirty, when this portion is dirty, when you have too much of this NPAs, then what you need to do is get rid of this NPAs once and for all. That means government can pay money and we can have a fresh start. A bank can have a fresh start, and once it will have a fresh start, it will work. It will have new way of dealing things, new structure, new culture. So this will give a boost. So that's what he has suggested. He also talked about this excessive centralization of power. He said that most of the decisions are taken by PMO. So that's not healthy for our economy as well as our country. That's what Mr. Rajan has said. Now moving on to another item, it's a report called Pneumonia and Diarrhea Progress Report 2018, published and launched by International Vaccine Access Center, IVAC. Tomorrow, 12th November, is World Pneumonia Day, and despite improvements in full immunization coverage in our country, like say for example Mission Indradhanush, even today we find that there is this partiality, right? Girls under the age of 5 in rural as well as in urban, particularly in poor urban localities, right? They continue to lose out on vaccination. And this is a sad thing that there are only 2 countries, India and Tonga, where we find that under 5 mortality rate of girls is higher than boys. Religious tolerance is something that is integral part of our culture. It is something that has always been there with us, within Indian way of living life. And this is something that we need to appreciate, right? Citizens must not forget that India has a rich cultural heritage of its own and should be retained at every cost. This is a statement that is coming from Indian Army Chief General Bipin Rawat. He also talked about this gradual westernization is taking over, and he talked about some other things as well. Now, last 2 items associated with one particular thing. The first one is this one, that US President is in Paris, that is capital of France, and he tweeted about he tweeted in reaction to Mr. Macron, Emmanuel Macron's statement. Emmanuel Macron said that there should be an European army, right? This army where contributions or soldiers are coming from different European countries and things like that. And Mr. Trump has said that this statement is very insulting, and they are together for this 100th anniversary of the end of World War I. We were talking about our soldiers and contributions and other things, and you remember that I told you that our Vice President Venkaiah Naidu is going to take part in this 100th anniversary of World War I, end of World War I, of course. Now, President Macron of France has just suggested that Europe build its own military in order to protect itself from US, China, Russia. Very insulting, but perhaps Europe should first pay its fair share of NATO, which the US subsidizes greatly, has been said by Mr. Trump. Now, on your screen, you can see this graffiti. It's called Sepoys No More. We have this statue, Lions of Great War, a sculpture that was inaugurated just last Sunday in this place called Smethwick town in West Midlands region of England. And this particular statue, you have this Sikh soldier carrying guns and things and this other gears. So it was inaugurated last Sunday, and what we find is some someone has wrote this thing, Sipo is no more, and it's a big insult, as well as they have tried to vandalize this statue as well. So now UK police is after, they are trying to find who has done this thing, but it's a sad thing. So that's everything in today's news items, as well as today's analysis. Dear friends, do make sure that you download the PDF of today's lecture from my FB page and Twitter handle. You can get in touch with me if you have any question or queries. You can write it down to me, and enjoy your studies. Make sure you share this lecture with other students as well. Don't forget to hit the like button. Enjoy your studies. Tomorrow I'll meet you very in the early morning. From tomorrow things are back to normal. No more late lectures, because this Diwali and post Diwali festival season was on. So there was a little bit of us, you can say, a sort of festive environment. But now we have to get back to our work and our routine life, isn't it? So here we go. Enjoy your Sunday. God bless you all. Jai Hind.